Hi, I'm Alex Martini, the pastor of St. Paul's in Littlestown.
And I am Sigrid Hipkiss. I'm one of the pastors at Trindle Spring Lutheran in Mechanicsburg.
We are going to talk about the question, does the church matter? I hope so.
I know, we've invested a lot in the fact that it does.
Yeah. Why does the church matter?
I think one of the first things that comes to mind for me is that we need to talk about what is church, right? And I think in a lot of people's minds, church is a building or an event that you do, but is that all church is? What else might church mean?
To be a place where you can have communities, you can see it through our liturgy. The shape of our liturgy is you're gathered, you hear the word, you share the meal, and then you're sent. And this is one of the few places in society where that sort of thing happens. And I think that's a really important thing that the church can do for us.
So much of our faith is about the fact that God is not about just out there somewhere, but is like present in the world and doing stuff here with real things that we can touch and taste and see, and involved in the world. And I think when we think of church as like the place where you come, maybe Sunday mornings or whenever worship is, one of the things that I think really matters most about that is, you know, you may not hear a good sermon, you may or may not like the hymns that day, you may be sitting next to somebody that you'd rather not, but that's the place where we know that God has promised to show up.
Right.
Like, God is all kinds of places doing all sorts of stuff, but we know God is going to show up in the sacraments. And for me in particular, in receiving communion, when I go there and hear that this is Jesus for you, body and blood for you, if nothing else happens that day, that's the place where I know, even if I don't feel it that day, even if whatever, I can trust God said he's going to be there that day, that place, in this food, and I can trust that he's there. And I think that's for me one of the big things about why church matters. And then I think why church matters for the world, again, because God is in bodies and God is doing things on the earth, and it's we who are the church who are the way that God continues to do things in the world through hands and mouths and feeding and welcoming and challenging and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the few places in our world where some of the things that we believe we actually get to see in action. At its best, of course, because, you know, it doesn't always happen, but we believe in grace, and I think we get to see that. If we're really being church, we get to see that in action. And forgiveness. It's one of the few places where, I mean, the expectation, the norm is forgiveness. And if we mess up, you know, in almost every other part of our life, if you mess up, too bad, you know. But at church, if we're really being the church, we get to experience forgiveness, and we get to practice forgiveness. We get to practice a lot of these things that we believe, and we get to see them lived out in a community. Any other thoughts about why the church matters?
I don't know. I think God told us it's what we need to be about, and so we take the risk and show up and do it and believe that there's a purpose in it.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. Find more information about St. Paul's. Just search for our Facebook page, St. Paul's Littlestown.
And you can find us at trindlespringlutheran.org.
Good.